Next, we have in line would be Dr. Looi and Dr. Chen to share with us on their topic, Sustainable Seamless Learning. What seams have we removed? Okay, let's welcome them. Thank you.
So a very good afternoon to all of you. I will do this presentation together with my colleague Wenli. So I'll carry on the discussion on seamless learning, which was mentioned by the previous speaker, Long Xiang. So we'll talk about how might we design mobile learning in the context of science learning in a primary school. How might we design mobile learning to support the notion of seamless learning? So my director mentioned about this work at Nanchao Primary School in his keynote address. So this is work we have done with the Nanchao Primary School over the years. In particular, we had this 3-year research project with them using National Research Foundation funds. This project has just ended, but we still continue to work with the school. The school is will be one of the future schools. So, so notion is the notion is seamless learning, and where are we coming from? So you look at experiences of countries, of schools over the world that tries to adopt mobile devices, and it's not been very successful. So here's a report in the New York Times, 2007, seeing no progress, some schools drop laptops. So it's a day that will live in infamy for people who advocate educational technology in the schools. So many countries want to go one-to-one, but still figuring out what is a sustainable pedagogical model that might be adopted. And where are we coming from in doing the work with the school? We're also coming in from the point of view of the notion of learning. Learning is continuous. It doesn't stop outside the classroom. Learning is across contexts, it's across spaces. So how might we bridge the kind of learning that happens in a formal setting with learning that is more informal? And what is the role of mobile technologies that might try to mediate this formal, informal learning? So this picture of a bridge, maybe I chose the wrong picture. It's, the length of the bridge suggests it's really a tough challenge to try to bridge formal, informal. Okay, so the way you look at the learning spaces, think of it as 2 times 2. So you have in class, inside the class, and outside of the class. So, learning spaces that are planned for learning, and learning spaces that are outside. And then think of learning that's planned, that's scripted. You have a lesson plan, there's someone directing the learning. And then learning that's emergent, so learning that is out of your own inquiry, out of your own curiosity, something that emerges, aha moments, where you can be something aside, so something gives you a new understanding. How do you develop those moments of understanding? So we carve out the spaces into these 4 types. Type 1, which is planned learning in class. So most of what goes on in a school, in a classroom. And then planned learning out of class. So this might be organized field trips. Although it's out of class, they're still guided by the teacher. And so it's planned learning. And then there's emergent learning out of class. This is where the kids start to use the devices, mobile devices on their own. They do social media, so they do a lot of things on their own. And out of this, learning emerges. And there's also emergent learning in class. So where there are teachable moments which are not planned for, but the teacher can leverage on these teaching moments. So the idea is learning all these different learning spaces. It makes sense to try to link some of this learning together so that learning is continuous, that can really leverage on the kind of learning that happens in all these different spaces to make learning even more powerful and effective. So it's about continuity of learning experiences. So notion of seams, there are a lot of these seams that try to dichotomize learning. So we try to take these seams away. So between formal and informal context, between individual, my private cognition versus social cognition, where I try to work things out with peers. And also the notion of extending the social spaces where extending social spaces where more interaction can take place. So how to extend social space where I can interact with more people? And to look at technology enabled as the devices around us. So it could be a device that you carry with you, something very portable. It could be the PC at home. It could be larger screen devices. So technology all around us. And perhaps the device that you carry along with you, the mobile device, might be a key device in trying to help you to mediate across these different learning spaces. So the idea is to look at these seams and try to bridge the seams. So the context is the work with a primary school here, Nanchao Primary School. So let's share some of the work here. So we want one-to-one learning. We give every kid in the P3 class a smartphone device, Windows-based. And we try to, so we design lessons with the teachers for science learning with a view to connections to informal learning outside the classroom. So story, we work with the teachers to co-design science lessons, P3 class in 2009, and this class moved on to P4 into 2010. So we transformed the whole science curriculum so that most of the science learning is done using these mobile devices, using the notion that Long Xiang talked about. The device is a learning hub to do this, to launch all the different learning activities. So, and also the notion of one-to-one learning, every student has a device. It's a personal device to them, so it's meaningful to them. And they use it all the time, 24/7. So these kids carry out devices all the time. It's portable, and they bring it home. So, science learning was transformed, get students to work in groups using these devices to do their activities, and they share, we discuss. So we use the word mobilize. So these are science lessons. We follow the MOE syllabus, but we unpack it so that we look at the learning teams, the science teams, and we unpack it so that the learning activities are more coherent. So this is a screenshot of the different, it's a project with different learning activities. You click on one of these, they can launch these activities. So this is a pocket PC. It started with a pocket PC, but later on they switched to a smartphone. Okay. So the idea is to use smartphones to provide all these different learning activities where students can start to learn science by doing these activities. In the process of doing these activities, they learn. So doing means they represent the emerging understanding of the science concept they are going to learn. So in this topic, they are learning about plant systems. So they use different modalities. They look at the notion of system. So that right at the top, they take apart a pen. So a pen is a system. What are the different parts of the pen? How do the different parts interact with each other? So they do an experiment and they record it. And then they do a KWL. They do a comparison table to compare the functions of the different parts of the plant. And then they take pictures of different parts of the plants. They use a simple animation tool to depict the parts of the plant and the growth of the plant. A pico map, a concept map to illustrate the understanding of plants. So using different modalities to demonstrate the understanding of plant systems. So all this work they do on the mobile devices, they upload to some server so the teacher can view the work and use the basis of students' artifacts to provide comments to them in the classroom. So science lesson is done not by the teacher teaching these concepts, but by the students doing these activities and manifesting their understanding. So this is a learning hub. The device serves as a learning hub to launch and organize all these different learning activities. So the key thing is we do not make this as supplemental to what they already do in the classroom. This replaces the science lessons. So science lessons are all done using the mobile devices because this is the approach we believe will work. If you use it as supplementary, something add-on, it doesn't work because the teacher will treat it that way. So it should be essential to their learning. So we as researchers, we do research. We had an experimental class that uses this curriculum for 2 years. So at the end of the first year, it was encouraging to see that this class did as the highest year-end exam scores among the 6 mixed ability classes after adjusting for the pre-test scores through ANCOVA. So this is encouraging evidence of the mobilized curriculum. So let me quickly switch to the video to show you, to give you some ideas about how the kids use these devices, not just in the classroom, But across the 4 learning spaces, remember my 2 times 2 matrix, right? So we capture some glimpses of how these students learn in these 4 spaces. So now, Wenli will share with you our study of informal learning out of the class, as well as some of the linkages between these different learning spaces.
Thanks. Good afternoon. I'm going to cover the 2 dimensions in this matrix. Emergent learning out of the classroom and also planned learning out of the class. And I'll also share some examples how the learning flows from one space to the other space. Okay. So this is about our research methodology, about the informal learning part. Because actually this is a seamless learning project. It's a very big project, design-based research. So we need to design something to develop students, to nurture them to become a self-directed learner. So we feel there's a great need for us to understand students' informal learning space at the beginning. So we conduct this informal learning research. So actually, in the informal learning research part, our methodology is called design ethnography. So first step is to understand their learning spaces. So we adopt the cooperative inquiry approach to work with the students. Because when we go into the informal learning space, we found it's very difficult for us to understand kids' life. Yeah. So actually, we feel it's very important for us to bring us down to the students' level. So we are no longer researcher, or they are no longer subject. So both of us, we are researcher, including the kids. So we emphasize on understanding the context and activities and artifacts created by the students. And also we want to hear from the students how they interpret their learning. Okay. So we identified 6 participants from the P3 class. How we identified these 6 is after rounds of observation in classroom. And also, as you can see here, we choose them based on the maximum variety principles. So they have different academic ability from different SES background, technology competency, social skills, informal learning spaces. Okay, so as you can see, Larry, okay, he's from a bit poor family, so it's all on the left hand. Okay, left side, the right side, Jeremy, Erin, think that they have richer learning spaces and they have a very good technology competency. So we want to identify the cases, all the 6 cases, how they do the informal learning at home, and how we can design our technology and pedagogy and the lesson activities to help them. Okay, so we have conducted 6 rounds of home visits. We do the ethnographic interview with students, parents, and sometimes with their siblings. It is a participatory observation. Okay, we also lent a digital camera and the video camera to the parents of the 6 participants. So we asked them, if you find anything interesting about your kids, can you please take the photo or take a video? And next time during the home visit, we collect this video and we'll ask on the spot, ask the kids, what were you doing? Do you think you are learning? Anything interesting? Why you were doing this? So I think this method is very important for informal learning because we were not able to be with the kids every day. We also develop technologies. Okay, this is called the quiet captures. It's by one of our researchers in our team. So with these tools, we are able to have all the log files of the students' usage of that smartphone. That smartphone was loaned to the students for the whole year, so they had it 24/7. So sometimes they use it for the learning in classroom, and sometimes they use it for their own, entertaining purpose. So we want to find out the usage. We also have their screenshots. Every 5 minutes we get the screenshots, so we know what they are doing. But yeah, they sign the ethics clearance form. Okay. So this chart is based on data of the log file. This is about a 2 months usage of the whole class. So the whole class, from time to time, we get the log file and we do some data analysis. For example, we found almost half of the usage of this smartphone. Students use it for the referential purpose. For example, search the internet. Okay, they also use it for data collection, including take the pictures, videos. Okay, and also of course, they use it for games. Okay. Our developer also developed some tools to help students bridge their formal learning and informal learning. For example, this is called mobile discussion forum. So this mobile discussion forum, all the students in the class, they have access. They can access very conveniently from their smartphones. And there's no particular agenda in the discussion forum. So we just told the students, whatever you think you found interesting, you can post. So as you can see here, this group of students, they are discussing what baby. Okay, actually, it's not part of the curriculum, but they found it's very interesting at home. So they want to know more about it. So they brought this on the online discussion forum to their classmates. Okay. This is another tool. We call this CoLIN. CoLIN stands for Collaborative Inquiry. Okay. It's like a Google map. So yes, we type on the Google Maps. On the left side, this is our new development. So when students are going to certain places, they found something very interesting, they are very curious about. They can take a photo, or they can write comments, they can take the video. Okay. So there are 4 tabs there. They can do all kinds of things. It's very simple. Okay. They do not need to key in lengthy text. Okay. And after that, whatever they put, there will be a pin on this Google map. So many students, they found it very interesting. I want to know my friends, where would they go yesterday, and what did they post? They post what? Did they post some question? Maybe that I can help answer those questions. So by developing this tool, we hope the students can use it for their knowledge building on the move. Okay. So now I'd like to share with you 3 examples on the linkage part. So how we design our curriculum that they can learn across the spaces. Okay. this is one example is about the digest system. Okay, so how we move from type 1 planned learning in class to type 2 planned learning out of classroom. Okay, so actually in the class they just do a lot of things using the mobile phones. But after that, the kids, they are required to teach their parents what they learned in class. After that, the parents need to recount what they have learned from the kids. The kids need to take the video of their parents. Then they brought back to the class, share to their friends, and the friends, they do some peer evaluation. I'm evaluating your parents, whether your parents is knowledgeable in this area or not. Okay, so this is a planned curriculum. We want the parents to be involved. And also we found that kids they are so excited. They feel they are very responsible for their parents' learning and their own learning. We find this very interesting. Okay, so this is another example is about how we, from the planned learning, now we go to the emergent learning out of class. Because of this mobile phone, they use it in a routine basis, which means they use it very often. Okay, so the teacher always told the students, okay, when you go out of the classroom, anything you find interesting, you take a picture, you ask questions, be observable, okay, don't miss the opportunities for learn, okay. So we found that this kind of re-emphasize on this is very effective. So we found many of the students now with the technology, with the mobile phone, they start to do it. For example, this is Roy's case. Roy observed that the fish in his home had laid eggs, so he took the picture, take the video, brought to the class, discussed with friends, and a teacher can also leverage on this case to explain some of the scientific concepts. Okay, so the third example is about Erin. So Erin is the kid that have very rich informal learning spaces because his parents deliberately create a lot of opportunities for him. So we found for his case is a lot of emergent learning out of classrooms happens, and he is able to use the mobile phones to capture all this moment and brought to the class for discussion. Okay, for example, he's an expert in fish. Okay, in the whole class. So he has a lot of materials and videos, YouTubes in his mobile phone, and he's like to bring to the class, discuss with his friends. Okay, so spill over to classroom activity. So there's one class teacher asked the students to draw some animals, and this Erin drew this elephant show. Okay, seems even the teachers has no idea what it is. But there is such an animal, okay? So then the teacher and the student, they went to Google and they found, oh, okay, there is such animal. So this is how emergent learning goes into classroom. So, okay, so we identify those learning scenarios that happens across different learning spaces. We also start to reflect what kind of among the 6 participants, what kind of participants they have better learning experiences. We found if our students, their learning experience, when it is a virtuous cycle, okay, in this matrix, for example, in the Erin's case, we found his learning is very deep, okay, and he can establish continuity of experience connecting both formal and informal learning, okay, spaces, okay. However, we also have some sad story. Okay, 6 participants is not always the rosy picture. We had a case, I think Larry, on the left side of the, when we get those participants. Clearly, no matter how much effort a researcher put, he still considers his learning in each space separately. So he's not able to connect all the cycles together, and we found it's very difficult for him to learn in a deeper way. Yeah. So our key idea is, for the seamless learning, we want to link their formal and informal learning spaces, and we want to extend and expand their learning spaces by providing the smartphone with curriculum design. Okay. Also, we want to transform their learning experience by using mobile technology. We want to sustain and expand their interest. We found it's very interesting in informal learning research because many students, they told us, okay, they found there's learning at home and the learning at school, they are totally different things. Okay, so but for us, I think it's very challenging for both the researcher and educator on how to bridge them together. We found maybe we won't say mobile technology can solve everything, but at least we have put some effort in the curriculum design and with the technology to help students bridge these two parts. Okay. Okay, I'd like to pass back to Prof. Lee.
So we like to think that our design of seamless learning leads to a broader view of science literacy, where the students' formal knowledge in science can be used to understand the science phenomenon outside the classroom. So I just want to quickly go through a few more points to provide more context to the work we do in school. So it's not just about mobile learning that we bring to school, but how can we actually make it work in school? So very quickly, so it's a curriculum integration. It's not just an add-on, which I mentioned earlier. And mobile devices are personal to them. There's a meaning to using these mobile devices. It's not tools provided a teacher, they come in and use, but they own it. Yeah, and intensive PD, working closely with the teachers to help them to facilitate lessons in the classroom, and strong leadership support. And so we feel that it can make a difference. It does make a difference, and you can see students' engagement. You can see them doing things on their own, self-directed learning and collaborative learning. So mobile devices mediating in-class and out-of-class learning. Okay, so it's not just dropping mobile learning in the school. We need to work on a number of different factors in working in school. So Wenli, I used to think of it as a barrel. How much water can it hold? Depends not on the longest plank, which might be the technology, which might be something else, but depends on the shortest plank. So if the practices are not there, where if they just don't use devices or use it in ways which are not intended, or teachers don't use it, then the barrel is not going to hold water. So we need to approach all these different factors in getting the schools to adopt innovation before it can be useful, can be sustained. And it's not just one project, you do it and you leave it, but it carries on to the next stage. So what we are describing is the oval right in the middle, seamless learning in grades 3 and 4. We started in 2008. So it leads on to more effort. So this is, I see where innovation in school can take place, where you build on each other's effort, you build capacity in the school, and then you have a model of how innovation spreads in the school. And hopefully this model can also be adopted by other schools, and they don't have to go through all the painful lessons. So what seems to be removed? So theoretical perspective, there are many seams. So Long said I worked out all these different seams, so we won't get into this. If you're interested, you can talk more. So there are many dichotomies to learning, but we want to remove these dichotomies. And then maybe something for you to think about, is it a disposition, a habit of mind, or is it about something you can address with a pedagogical strategy? And must it be mediated by technology? Now, what is the role of technology? So I think we need more research on the ethnographic study of seamless learning. So this is a joint effort with the schools. So chair of researchers with teachers in the school way back in 2009. So like Long Xiang, I showed all the faces of the people involved in this project. So we have 2 overseas collaborators who come here very often. They enjoy Singapore food. They just came here a couple of days ago. So that's the end. Thank you.